Facebook, what's going on, man? It's been a minute since I did a video like this, but you know, your boy been busy, man. And so one thing that I did want to talk about today was how do we give and receive emotional support, right? Because so many times in relationships, what happens is we are caught up in a certain struggle that's only really time sensitive. Once we beat that struggle, whether it's financial, whether it's dealing with your parents or getting over a death, you know, you realize that this relationship has now shifted. We're no longer worried about financial stability. We got that. We're no longer worried about grieving. We're over that. What now? You know, when it's just you and your partner against the world, things like emotional wellness, psychological wellness, those things are put on the back burner. As far as the two of you know, you all are just hustling and grinding, trying to get this life to where you want it to be. And now that you kind of have some semblance of that, you realize that your internal dissatisfaction is rising. That's because a lot of times in relationships, we don't do a good enough job of transitioning between the fight and altering the way we give and receive emotional support. And so you find this is when things tend to get a little boring, right? Because you go back to the good old days when things used to be so intense and passionate and, you know, you only had eyes for one another, but now it's like that love is waning. It's not that it's really waning. You just have to learn how to give and receive different kinds of emotional support. And that can be very difficult sometimes when you don't know what to do. So for example, when a woman is trying to give emotional support to a man, she would often give him that support as she would want to receive it from him. And so the way women give emotional support to each other is they become very caring and understanding. This is often why you find that when women get in circles, it's so easy to validate a particular emotion, whether it's good or bad, because this is how they give support. But the man, he can interpret this to mean that you don't trust me. Why are you smothering me so much? I already told you I had this. I already told you that this is what I wanted to do. Why are you constantly checking up on me? Why are you constantly reminding me or asking me if I did this? I already told you I got it under control. See the differences? We often think that we should give our partner what we would give ourselves, but we got to remember that as man and woman, there are differences between the two of us. With men, we become very accepting and trusting because that's our nature. This is why you find that when our friends or our family tell us something, man, because we trust them, we don't really care how they do what they do. All we know is that this is going to happen the way they said it's going to happen. When we give this to women, because this is what we want to receive as well, women think that we don't care. Women interpret that as neglect and abandonment, when truly, that's just our way as men of saying we trust you. We'll say something like, baby, pick up the phone. Yeah, just tell them whatever. And the woman is like, well, what do I tell them? What are they going to think? Does this mean something for tomorrow? No, the guy doesn't care. The guy trusts you so much, he already knows that you're going to say and think and consider all of these things without him having to ask. Emotional support really is an art form. But to truly give and receive emotional support, you got to recognize that men are different from women. My spouse is different from me. What comes naturally to me may not come naturally to them. What happens a lot of times is when we are young, we don't understand what that is because a lot of us have not had positive experiences with emotional support, right? I know that there are tons of people in this country watching this video right now who's had fathers who were just financial fathers, right? They paid the bills, they made sure that food was in the fridge, and that was the end of their duties as a father. They weren't there to talk to you about sex. They weren't there to talk to you about how to be a man, how to write a check. You had to figure these things out on your own, and so as far as you know, there was an end to what I received in terms of emotional support. And so when we grow up now and we walk into this and we operate in this real world, our resources on what we know and how we should act and give and receive emotional support is limited. That's why you find we come to these impossible problems in relationships, because we are just simply not prepared. You know, I often hear women talk about how men don't open up. They don't let them know about the inner workings that's going on in their head. I often hear men talking about their women just doesn't know how to cater to them. And that's because a lot of women don't understand what feminine energy truly is. We don't see a lot of it in our environment. And so for this reason, we don't truly understand what emotional support looks like. Once we can begin doing these things, guys, giving and receiving emotional support is going to be a breeze. We just got to have some wisdom and understanding about how to apply these things. All right? Thanks so much for watching the video, guys. If you do want some help or know someone that wants some help, don't be afraid to give them my number, all right? 356-7983 or 4. Private therapy for everything that you need.